Morning everyone. We are today, I think we're finally ready to leave after about 2 weeks of waiting for good weather.
And we are off. We have been in Amsterdam for almost 3 years. We've met amazing people, worked hard to improve Saetta, and prepared us for today. We might be back, but we hope it won't be too soon.
Bit of crappy weather. It should be better by the time we are in IJmuiden, but we'll see. It's not exactly the start that any of us thought it would be, but at least we're going. That's something. We try to be positive about that. And really, we'll see. We'll see just how good or bad it is when we get to the other side.
The locks are opening. Now it feels like it's really starting. We can smell the North Sea already.
Right, still first day at sea. It's now 6:30. We're preparing dinner, also because we're hungry, not that it's dinner time. Saskia is keeping watch.
Everything is going smooth and well.
Outside everything looks alright. And inside, yeah, preparing dinner. When I say prepare dinner, it's warm up dinner because food was already ready. So it's our interpretation of pasta genovese. I think that's the name of it. Inside is okay, although the fruit did break down. The net came off. Okay. Not a bad view for dinner, is it? We're about to hit a 12-hour mark since we started the trip, and just wanted to give you a view of where we are. So start with a nice part. Great sunset. It's calm. Have a platform there on the back. Another one's all the way in the back. And then we have this. I don't know if you see, but we have 1, 2, 3 boats heading the same way, or heading on a perpendicular path to myself. Check the AIS, let's call it GPS, and yeah, it's going to be close. Still, that's a pretty sunset. One of the hardest things for me is to appreciate depths or try to gauge just how far boats are. Let me give you an example. So this guy is that guy over there, and we were in a collision course, and then I reduced speed so that he can go first. But this is why it's so incredible for me. I just checked, and we are going to pass about half a kilometer of each, and I just cannot understand how that can be, because I would say he's already half a kilometer for me, so how, and we are kind of motoring into the same place or the same we're crossing paths, and how is it that we're still going to be so far from each other? At least that's according to the computer, so better not follow it and just keep an eye on the boat and make sure everything goes without incidents. GPS says there's no problem, but still, why invite problem for yourself? But yeah, and the GoPro, it seems so much further away. It seems so small, but I feel that if I press on the gas, I'll just crash against it. Yeah, need to be better, need to get better at gauging distances. Morning of the second day. Weather looks quite nice, look at that. Yeah, wind is actually quite benign. It's 30 knots, so great. But the sea condition, because we have wind against tide, so we have a lot of waves created by the tide, and the tide is something like 2 knots. 2 knots. That is a lot. That really creates a lot of annoying waves. Night watches were a bit tricky. Saskia did from 6 to 9. I did from 9 to midnight. Then she came on from midnight to 3, and I did from 3 to 6. But 3 to 6 is just terrible. I really struggle to keep to stay awake. Things are okay apart from the confused seas. At least we're keeping good speed and the wind still around, which I was unsure if that would be the case. The forecast called for, I believe it was something like 4 knots, 6 knots, and we have 14, so at least we're sailing, that's good. Once we get to Dover, or close to Dover, which is in about 50 miles, so that means 12 hours, we should be able to get cell phone reception and hopefully be able to get some updated weather. I think that's it for now. Yep. Tide is pushing us so fast. Usually you would do 5 knots. It's been almost a day and a half and we are arriving to Dover. The famous white cliffs all the way in the back. We're not getting too close because from here till shore there's nothing but sandbanks, so we want to do that. With the wind dying down and becoming very variable, we furled in the sail in the laziest way possible and continued motoring. So what's happening? We just passed Dover. That's Dover in the back. It's a bit foggy, misty, maybe it's a better word. And we continue onwards. You might hear the engine is on because there's next to no wind. To be fair, if we really wanted, we could sail. But I'm quite nervous about... I want to get to Plymouth quickly because in about a day and a half the weather is going to start, it's going to turn. So I want to get there sooner rather than later. And I know that, you know, it's a sailboat and you can tack and all of that. But I don't know the English Channel. but I imagine it's something like what happened in the North Sea and in the Skagerrak. So if you have, let's say, westerly winds pushing all into one channel, then the waves are really going to start to build. And in this case, if the winds start all the way in the Atlantic Ocean, then it's even worse. So in a day and a half, the wind is going to start turning to westerlies, which is exactly the direction we need to go. So it means that we need to kind of zigzag our way up the wind, which not only is time consuming, but more than anything, it's uncomfortable. Especially if the sea state is going to be what I think it's going to be. So, with all of that said, decide to keep on motoring. It's definitely not sailing. It's not the best option. Definitely not the most economical one, but I think it's the right one for us at this point. Yeah, that's where I'll leave that. One of the reasons someone needs to be on watch is to look for obstacles and debris in the water, such as fishing buoys. With calm seas and sunlight, this buoy was quite easy to find. Have you spotted it yet? Unfortunately, too often the buoys are smaller and darker, making them next to impossible for us to find. Dawn of a new day. It's now 4 in the morning. It's cold, there's no wind. We've been motoring since forever, it feels. Yeah, passing Beachy Head, but you can't see much, can you? Wakey, wakey!
Yeah.
Come on, let's go sailing. Let's go sailing.
We are sailing. This is what we do. One person annoys the other one. The other one tries to sleep.
Relationship goals.
We're both still smiling, so that's something.
During Saskia's shift, not much happened. As we passed the Isle of Wight, we managed to sail for a few hours until the wind got too light again. That's when we tried to fly the spinnaker. This should be the second time ever we sail with a spinnaker, and it showed. After 30 minutes of faffing about with the lines, we were ready to try it out. Or so we thought. Because I'm so inexperienced with the spinnaker, I needed all hands on deck. And so Saskia wasn't able to get any footage of what happened next. As we raised the sail sock, a bunch of lines got tangled. This made half the sail want to open and fly, while the other half collapsed and flapped around. Luckily, there was enough sea room and weak winds that we managed to get things under control without incidents. To be fair, it could have gone much worse. A good few lessons learned. After all this, we brought everything back to the normal setup, and I went for a nap before my next shift. Dawn of a new day. It's wet and very, very calm, except for the engine. As the day went on, the wind picked up just enough for us to have the most quiet sail ever. Have a listen. The debacle with the spinnaker made it clear that our deck needed to be sorted. We get complacent too quickly with these things. With time and good weather, I tried to fix it. The fenders are now stored where the jerrycan used to be. With the right size wine running the full length of the board, it's easy to slide the fenders in, and they'll still put even if they're not secured to the rail. On the bow, I place a new line over the dinghy cover to make sure that the sailbag also stays in. These have been the most productive 30 minutes of this trip. The wind has now picked up enough that we can sail. Unfortunately, it comes from the direction we want to go. That means we need to zigzag our way forward. On its own, this is not bad, but there's a very demoralizing aspect of it. You can see on the plotter, we're actually going further from our destination. We need to do this in order to create enough sea room to be able to sail on the other tack. This is one of those aspects of sailing that we are not very good with. We need to let go of plans and accept some trips take longer than planned.
We did get more wind and some company. It's always nice to see dolphins on the way.
During the afternoon, the wind continued to increase, and soon so did the waves. The weather front I was concerned all the way back in Dover had arrived, and it did so sooner than expected. For now, it means good speed even though we had to tack our way through. How are you feeling?
I'm a bit nervous, to be honest. Because the weather is like this, the sea is like this, and it's all fun and nice because of the nice weather, and now it's not so nice. It's gonna be my first shift alone in weather like this. It will be fine, but slightly nervous. Plus, I've been seasick before with weather like this, and now I feel like I don't feel sick, but I'm like, oh, if I get sick, I don't want to get sick. But like this self-fulfilling prophecy that okay, if I think too much about it, I might get sick. So yes.
The conditions got worse, but the fishing guys still have a job to do. They are around dropping their buoys, so our efforts to spot them had to double. And if that wasn't bad enough, soon we had to give way to a couple of these bad boys.
The weather did not get any better. I got seasick, so we decided to go to Plymouth instead of Falmouth. All our attention went to sailing, so we did not film a thing, but we arrived safe and sound.